Hi, friends. Welcome back to Radiant Resilience. This is a fun little bonus episode I wanted to record for you. This is very heavy on the infertility and childless not by choice topic. So if that's not for you, then maybe this episode's not for you, and that's okay. But I just wanted to give you a quick little heads up that that's what this is with my dear friend Carrie Hoskins, and it's always an amazing conversation with her. And if you do choose to listen, I hope that you learn something and really enjoy it. Welcome back to Radiant Resilience, everyone. I'm so excited today. I have back with me Carrie Hoskins. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm
I'm so excited to be here
I'm so
again.
excited to have you here. We have been trying to set this episode up for like months, and we both have just had stuff coming up. So I'm so excited it's finally happening.
Yes.
So if any of you would like to learn more about Carrie, this will be her third time on my podcast, I think.
Yay, yay.
So go back and listen to episodes 18 and 23. I think in 18, I'll give you her full bio and you can learn more about her. But Carrie and I connected on Instagram because we're both childless, not by choice, and trying to
Correct.
navigate that world, which, as we all know, is a challenge. So I was just excited to have her back on here so we can talk a little bit about that for some of my infertility followers and things like that. But first of all, Carrie, why don't you give us a quick little update on your life and what you've been up to?
This year, I can't believe it's like already halfway through the year, but it's been a bit different for me since I started an MFA program working on writing my memoir specifically. So I'm getting an MFA in writing, but I'm studying nonfiction memoir writing. And I started that in January, and I have been pedal to the metal nonstop. And I'm reading so many books. I'm writing so much. I'm rewriting my book, which is becoming so much more fun. And this has become my everything these days, especially because it's only like a 2 year program. So it's
Wow.
like very much like you do this for 2 years and then you're done. So that has basically been my life.
Yeah. So I know you're planning on writing your memoir. Are
That
you,
That's
what?
what I'm doing
Okay.
in while I'm doing it. So I work with an advisor and I write chapters, and it's set up very because it's low residency, which I didn't even know these kinds of programs existed, where I go to the school, which is in Oregon, and I live in California. So I go for 2 weeks a semester,
Okay.
and then it's like very intense classwork and workshopping. And then it's set up like a writer's life. So I send chapters to an advisor, and then we discuss every couple of weeks. And then I'm reading while I'm doing this. So like we're discussing books and that. And it's so much fun, but it's a lot of work, especially because like I wrote the first draft of my book, which I'm glad I did because I'm learning that it takes me like 6 to 7 drafts to get where I
Wow.
want to be, which
Okay.
I didn't really want to admit that. But now
Mm.
that I have written my seventh draft on things, I'm like, oh, that's good. That's
Oh,
much better than that third draft.
oh,
So it's a lot of
interesting.
that. Yeah,
I've always wondered because people tell me all the time with my travel and stuff, they're like, you should write a book. And I'm like,
absolutely.
I don't even know where to begin with that. I'm not a writer. I'm like, I guess we have Chat GPT now. That could help me a lot. But like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I feel like it's a daunting task.
I love it. I also hate it. Someone today just asked me,
Mm.
like, how do you know when it's right? Like, how do you feel good about it? And I was like,
Mm.
it's honestly about 2 to 4 hours after I think it's the worst thing I've ever written. So
Wow.
if I don't get to that point, I know that I haven't hit it yet. And which was like weird to come out because, but there's like I don't know, some sort of like art saying of you, it's fine. And then you're like, it's okay. And then you're like, this is shit. And then you're like, what am I doing with my life? And then you're like, actually, this is pretty good. And that's absolutely what happened.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of things in life that
Right?
are
It's
kind
like
of
a
like
metaphor
that.
for so many things. So I've been
Yeah.
reading a ton of books, a lot of like heavy grief things,
Ooh.
but I'm learning that I'm trying to make my memoir on dealing with infertility and everything I went through. I'm trying to make it funny, which I don't consider myself like a humorous writer,
Okay.
but I remember like the first thing I turned in last semester, my advisor was like, "So your writing is very serious and you are not." And I was like, "Absolutely, I'm not. Like, I have pigtails in my hair right now." And he was like, "Yeah, this doesn't match. Like, we got to make this." And it was like such a fun way to find my voice in writing of, oh, I didn't know I could say the word like all the time because that's how I speak.
Yeah.
And now when I read my writing, I'm like, "Oh, okay, that feels like me," which is really fun.
Yeah, I would think the same thing that you have to make it sound formal and it has to be grammatically
Right.
correct and all those things. But I guess, especially when you're reading memoirs, and because I think of the memoirs I've read of like actors and actresses and things like that, I do want to hear their voice in it. I want to
Right.
hear their personality. And so you have to get that across somehow.
Yeah. And I assumed I had it, but I'd never had someone like, and multiple people told this to me, of especially being in this program of it doesn't match up. But you're right. Like when you read a celebrity memoir, you want to feel like you're sitting down with them
Yeah.
and not like someone is reading so properly, because that's not who I am. But
Yeah.
I was trying to write like I was.
I imagine that's how I would be too. I'd be like, okay, no, it has to be done
Yes.
perfect
This
grammar,
is
perfect everything.
serious.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I listened to Matthew McConaughey's book,
Me
Greenlight,
too.
and it was so good listening to him narrate it because
Yes.
it was, I often wonder because I didn't read it, I wonder what it would have been like reading it
For sure. It's one of my
versus
favorite
listening to
things
him.
about audiobooks is having the person read it, because so much comes across even in the way they speak or cry or laugh through something. It's almost like an acting gig in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. So are you planning on, since you're doing this course, do you plan on writing more memoir type books
Yes.
or,
So I
okay.
would like to be a memoirist in
Okay.
general. And like I've always wanted to write about my family, particularly like my mom's side of the family, because it's juicy. And I'm like, you can't even make this stuff up. I just
Wow.
could write it down word for word and I would pay to read the craziness.
Yeah.
So my mom and I have been going through a lot of like historical things because she saves everything. And so we've been trying to get some things together. But at the moment, I'm just focusing on my infertility memoir.
Yeah.
And I really try to focus on, because I had this like idea that the person would be reading my book and think maybe I'm going to have the baby and I'm going to get the miracle. But I hate those books. I hate when you like are like, oh, God, or even if it's like the epilogue, you're like, oh, okay, they went off and oh, she's pregnant. Like it's this
Yeah.
classic storyline.
Yeah.
And so I had this idea that I was going to write an epilogue about, okay, I just want to let you know I don't get the miracle baby. But then through working on it, I realized I'm just going to say it in my first line because
Oh,
I want my reader to know this isn't, there's going to be a ton of triggers in here, but the
yeah.
baby isn't going to be one of them. And
Yeah.
as a like avid reader myself, I love it when that's not, it's you know when it's coming. You're like, oh, this is the traditional thing is coming
Yeah.
along. And
And a lot of self-help books are like that, and memoirs, like maybe not memoirs as much, but there's always a happy ending. Like they get to that
yes.
because eventually you get to that point, and I think that's through the healing and the things like that, and not to say like you're not living a happy life right
No,
now,
for sure.
obviously, but like you didn't get that happy ending you thought you were going to, and
Yes.
you don't want to portray that that's going to be how
Like
this
I
ends.
read about it being like a almost like a trick at the end, but I was like, I would hate that as a reader.
Yeah.
Like I would be like, I would like it at the end, but I would be more invested in the beginning if I
Mhm.
knew nobody was walking away with that miracle baby.
And I think it depends on who you're trying to like target to read it too,
Yes.
right? Because if you're
Yes.
just targeting the general infertility world, then yes, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
lot of those people want to read the hopeful stories where it ends with a baby. But if you're someone like me who didn't get that
Mm-hmm.
ending, it's so nice to know I'm not alone and my feelings are
Yes.
valid through someone else too.
It's
So,
refreshing. And I
yes.
don't know many books that do that. Is why
Mhm.
I felt like really uncomfortable even considering writing it, but I was like, I'm writing my story. This is my story. Like, I'm not
Yes.
going to pretend like it's something else. So I may as well just open up with it because, again, I will sometimes, especially because I love a little like smutty rom-commy book, just like a beach read or something.
Yeah.
But towards the end, I'm like, oh, they're gonna get together and they're gonna have a baby. And good for them. I get as upset about it as much as I used to, but it's the
It's
same old
triggering.
story. Yeah. And it's
It's
this, it's okay. Is there anybody who's ever dealt with this? Even if it's like a fantasy world, is anybody else who like ever has understood what I felt?
yeah, so I will tell you. I've gotten really into the romantasy stuff lately.
I think I've seen you post a few things about it.
Yeah, and I love it. I do love the genre, but the very first, and I won't mention which series it was
Okay.
because I don't want to spoil it for those who are maybe wanting to read it. But, and I will say, in a lot of these books, the trope is the same, kind of like a Hallmark movie, whatever, but they're all falling in love with Fae. And one of the things they talk about the Fae in a lot of these books is that it is very rare for them to conceive. So then, of course, in one of the first ones I read, the main girl character and couple conceive. And of course, there were challenges, but I remember reading it and I was just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Because of
I
course
thought I
I
was
see.
reading a
Yes.
romantasy and I was excited when they talked about the Fae not being able to procreate very easy. And then boom, she's pregnant.
Yeah. Which, and it's like when you're a reader, no matter what you're reading, you're going to see yourself in it. You're not going to be thinking about the characters as
Right.
much. It's like a magic trick that reading does. So even in that, you're like, there's me. Like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. So
Great. She got her miracle.
yeah. Yeah. Even this pretend character gets her miracle. Yes.
Yeah, I remember reading, and I knew it was going that
Yeah. You
direction
can feel
too.
it. You can feel it.
Yes, I've read a few that it hasn't gone that direction, but yeah, the first one, the first series I read, I was just like, come on.
Yes.
So,
Yes. And so I hope to share the story of it's not, don't like, it's okay.
how
It
do
still can be a lovely
you?
life.
Yeah, yeah, which I love, which is what I love about your Instagram page and stuff, is I love you preaching how great of a life that you have after all of that. But how do you navigate that? Because I've found with myself, because I do still have people that reach out to me that are embarking on IVF or fertility
Sure.
treatments or whatever, and I find myself being very negative sometimes. Like kind of not negative to where I'm like, don't do it, but I'm
Hmm.
like, you may not, it may not work. Don't get your hopes up. Don't get,
Hmm.
and that's probably terrible advice, but
I think that but that's the reality of it. It might not
yeah,
be their reality, but it's our reality that that didn't
yeah,
work out for us like that. I am often like, it didn't work out for me. That doesn't mean it's not going to work out for you. But, and at least because when the people ask me, they probably know. But I'm like, if you're asking me, you know what my answer is going to be.
yeah.
That like, it's, I don't know. It can, because I remember starting IVF and being so hopeful
So
and
hopeful.
being
I
like,
thought it was going to fix all my
yeah,
problems.
absolutely. This is going to be it.
Mhm.
And it didn't. So it's like I was very naive, but that was an important part of my life to understand that, even though it sucked.
And I think in my mind, I'm like preparing them. I'm like, just
Yes.
because I have gone through so much heartbreak with the ups of the hopes and the downs
Hmm.
of the heartbreaks and the like, it's devastating when it doesn't work out. And like to do that over and over and over. And then I want to save this person from not, again, not to prevent them from going through the treatments, just to be
Hmm.
like, here's the reality. And I didn't realize that reality in the beginning. Hi, friend, and welcome to this episode of Radiant Resilience. We are always looking for new guests on the podcast. I want to highlight you if you have a story of resilience that inspires others. Everyone has a story, and I believe that sharing yours can help others feel less alone. Are you ready to share your journey and inspire others? I want to hear from you. Every story has the power to impact lives and foster a supportive community. If you have a tale of overcoming adversity, personal growth, or a unique perspective on life's challenges, I would love to have you as a guest on the podcast. To become a guest, please email us directly at radiantresiliencepodcast@gmail.com or click the link in the show notes to become a guest. Join us in spreading hope, strength, and inspiration one story at a time. Be brave and share your story so others feel less alone. I hope to see you soon.
But if someone would have told you that, would you have been like,
I never would have listened to that. I'd have been like, wow, you're terrible. That's like, how do you navigate that with people? Because people want to talk to me about it and I'm
yeah,
fine talking about it. But I need them to understand that my reality is that it didn't work. And
yes.
so I'm a little bit more salty about it than I.
I think that your take on it is essential because I share similar things. I also try to think about what would have helped me support wise, almost like outside of the IVF. Like I think of like a therapist. I relied on my therapist. And one thing I think a lot about now is that I wish I would have had something outside of my fertility during that time. I was against it.
Mhm.
I was against having anything good outside of me getting pregnant.
I
But
think
like,
it's so easy for our entire lives to revolve
yes.
around that at that
Yes. And so that's often what I say because that doesn't, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying get a hobby while
time.
you're doing IVF.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so hard. And so I'm now a year and a half, I think,
Hmm.
ish out from my last embryo transfer. And people are constantly, where are you at? What
What are
are
the
you doing?
next
Because
steps? Yes.
yeah. And then I left the salon I was at for 10
Oh, yeah.
years earlier this year. And so I've been like rebuilding in the town that I'm in. And so I've had so many new clients. And it's the same
Oh,
conversation
yep.
over and over of,
Mhm.
do you have kids? And I'm like, no. And then they're like, oh, at some point, it may not be right after that, but then it's did you ever want kids? Do you want,
Mhm.
especially because I'm still within the age range of being able
Right.
to. Then they're like, do you want them? Do you like, it's still a future plan.
Mhm.
It can't be a future plan for too much longer, but
Right.
and then it inevitably ends with what have you thought about adoption? And I got it so much and I had a meltdown one day because I was just like, why does this have to be my solution? And I don't know. I genuinely like I'm in a place of I don't know right now. I
Mm.
don't I'm
That's a
very in limbo.
that's a very valid space to be in just to even say, I don't know why I feel this way. That is a huge space in itself. I hate that question because my first thought is, did you think I didn't consider that? Every single infertile person has thought of that.
Yeah.
Every single person who hasn't gotten pregnant, probably within 3 months, has probably thought of it.
Yeah.
And then I think, oh, you have no idea what the
Mhm.
adoption process is.
No
And
idea.
that's and they think they do, but and I will often say, oh, we started it and it was not for me.
And you embarked on it. So
Yes.
I've never even started it. I've just mulled it over in my
Yeah,
brain.
yeah.
The stories that I know of, the facts that I do know from people who have done it, and it is not easy.
No, absolutely not. And I think it's like in those moments, I'm like, do I want to stop this conversation? Do I want to educate? Because if I'm
Hmm.
going to stand on a soapbox and educate, I'm probably going to get heated. That's a real response,
Yeah.
especially in the adoption category,
Yeah.
because people just are so unaware and they think a child is going to solve your problems. And we all know that children don't solve our problems. Like, even though I believed it when I was like, oh, I'm going to get pregnant and my life is going to
Hmm.
be this wrapped up in a bow because this child's going to fit into the life I have already and it's going to work out great. And that's obviously not what happens. But when you're infertile, you like daydream about the good stuff. You don't necessarily daydream about the bad stuff. And it's clear in the adoption world that people are really unaware. And I even have good friends that have adopted and they're like, this is no joke.
I have people that have said they'd rather be sued again.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
have people who've said it's a disgusting business that's for profit, and I'm grateful for my child, but I will never do it again. International adoptions are being closed down due to child trafficking right
Mm-hmm.
now. The wait lists for domestic is hella long. You can get matched with a mother and they can back out after you've paid all their bills.
Mm.
The list goes on of the stories that I've heard, and it is no joke, literally.
Yeah. I think like when you're like saying these things right now, I'm thinking like it reminds me of if somebody asks me about, oh, have you ever had kids? Or it's, am I going to tell you that I had a stillbirth at 8 months? Because probably not. And it makes me think of, do I want to continue a relationship with this person or not? And sometimes the adoption question is in that realm of, do you want me to tell you everything that I know? Because
Yeah.
it's going to bum you out. Are you still going to like me afterward? Am I still going to like you afterwards? Like,
One of my favorite things I recently heard, I love this and I've just been waiting. Of course, now that I have a snarky response, nobody's asking me about it, but a friend of mine told me she listened to a podcast and it was like, if people say, "Oh, have you thought about adoption? Would you adopt, whatever?" The response is, "Why haven't you?"
Yes.
Because
Yes.
why is it up to the infertiles of the
Mm-hmm.
world to adopt? Anyone can adopt. That's not
Anyone.
limited to any
Yeah.
or nobody.
Yes.
Like it's just it like anybody can do it. It's just
Yes.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting for somebody to be like, "Oh, have you thought about that?" Because like
You could do it too. Yeah.
even though you had your own biological children, you could do it too.
And I think about because I have some new friends in my life that have asked me this question, but they have been like, I hope this isn't inappropriate. I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
anybody who's ever dealt with anything like this. Can I ask you that question? And that's, yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I can tell we're going to be friends.
Yeah.
But with strangers, it's a wild card of like, how are we going to respond to this? And it's like a very uncomfortable question. I have just come to rely on the fact that somebody's going to ask me, especially because I'm in a lot of new situations, like you talking about like you're with new
Mhm.
clients and stuff and sitting with people. And if it doesn't come up, it's such a like gift for the day where I'm like, "Ooh, I won today." It's
Yeah.
rare.
It is rare. It's hard. And actually, I frequently think of you because I remember one of the first times we talked, or maybe it was the second time, I don't know. And you had mentioned that you started telling people you didn't want kids. So, like when
Oh,
people were saying,
yes.
like, oh, do you have
Yes.
kids? No. And then did you want them? No. And I remember thinking, like, that doesn't align with me at the moment.
My
And
husband,
now,
it did not align with my husband. He
yeah,
was
and
like,
you
I
shared
can't
that.
believe you said that. So,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a real feeling.
but I get it now.
Yes. Because sometimes I just don't want to talk about it. It's like
Yeah.
I would like to talk about something else. I often try to think of like fun, interesting, creative conversation questions that I can diverge to.
Yeah.
But and I'll be honest, most of the time I'll say, no, it didn't work out or something like that. But sometimes if I'm like, this vibe is not going,
Mhm.
I'm just going to say no. And no, I don't want kids. I'm just going to cut it and
Yeah.
that's it. Because that usually will move the conversation along. But most of the time, I do want to get to know the people that I'm talking to. But
Yeah.
there are those moments where I'm like, we're not going to be friends. So we're done.
Yeah, it's so hard because like we've been through a lot. And so then I think there's a part of me that thinks like if I say no, I don't want him, then I'm discounting everything I just went through
For
too
sure.
because
That is a very
it's
valid
yeah,
response to
but at the
that.
same time, with these new people, I don't need to explain my entire life to them. But I
Yes.
also do feel, even though the conversation goes, "Do you have kids? No. Did you want kids?" Yeah, but it was like I finally started just being honest and being like, yes, and I did. I was unable to, and I did 45 rounds of IVF, and it didn't work. And then that's when the adoption coming question always
Yes.
comes in.
Oh, I have this grand idea. You've probably
Yeah.
never heard of it.
Yeah, yeah. And it just, I don't know. It's so hard because I feel like even if I say, my point in that is that I still feel like I need to justify it by saying,
Hmm.
even though I say, no, I was unable to, that still doesn't stop
Yeah.
question. And I feel internally like I have to say, I did a million rounds of IVF. It
Yeah.
didn't work. And then people are like, oh, I'm so sorry.
And you're like,
Or it continues on. And I feel like though there's so much judgment out there about childless by choice people too.
hmm.
Have you ever had that situation where you've said, no, I don't want kids and people probe that more?
No, I have not
Okay.
had that in particular, but I have had people who didn't know my situation and just knew that I didn't have kids and
Mm,
be like, "Oh, I bet you you're just so selfish and I bet you have all the free time in the world." Oh, people have said these things to me. I think because I am present online so much, people think that they can talk to me like that a
mhm.
bit more, which is a double-edged sword. But I am so grateful for the child-free community because I feel like they've showed me there are other ways to live.
Yes, same.
Like, and but there is this, oh, I can't believe it. The word selfish comes back at me
Mm,
a lot, and it's you have no idea what
mhm.
I've been through. And also, you don't need, it doesn't even matter what I've been through. I can make a choice about my own life, but it's not, we're not in a space where that is a thing. Like people
Yeah.
still think that they can cast their judgments because I'm not living in the same way they are, which is a
Mm.
wild thought. And I feel if we presented it that way to them, they'd be like, that's not what I mean. It's then what do you mean?
Is it a jealousy thing
It like,
sometimes?
yeah, like where is this coming from? And I think a lot of friends that I know are like this past weekend, we had some friends had a gathering, and Saturday morning, my husband and I were like, let's just pack up the car and go. And we did. And I
Mhm.
called my friends and was like, we can't make it. We're going on a spontaneous trip. And like, where are you going? And we're like, we don't know. And I got 3 phone calls from friends with kids saying, I'm jealous of what you're doing right now. And I
Mm.
love it for you, but like, I can't do that. And I thought, this is one of those moments. It's usually the other way around. But
Right.
this is one of those moments where I'm like, I have the freedom that you often don't. And one, actually, she was like, I'm leaving town tomorrow. And she did. She like set up babysitters for a kid. I want to do that.
Amazing.
Yeah, but it was like this moment of, oh, I don't often get this feedback. Not that I don't, my friends
Mhm.
don't love me, but it was just, they were like, this is that thing that you get to do. We had a plan, which it's fine. Didn't go to, but they were like, and you're just, who knows
Mm.
where you're going.
I love that they felt they could be honest with you about that too.
Yes.
And I will say that for me in this healing process and the space that I'm in currently, I have been trying to appreciate that kind of stuff of the freedom that I have instead of being jealous of my friends that have kids and the things they're doing with their
It's
kids.
hard though.
Yeah.
I hated that freedom for a while. I didn't want the freedom.
Right.
I like somebody recently, I don't know how we got in the conversation. Oh, I was wearing like a jumpsuit and they were like, "Oh, I can't wear a jumpsuit because I've given birth to 3 children and I would have to get my pants off quickly to go to the bathroom because of their pelvic floor, right?" And they were joking, but as they were saying it, in my head I was thinking I would give up jumpsuits to
Yeah. Yeah.
be in that position. That's a real
Yeah.
thought. And I'm not going to
Yes.
say that, but it was like such as I was like, oh, this is an interesting new. I would give
Yeah.
up that to like have a body that maybe isn't functioning in the way that I wanted because my body's not
Mhm.
functioning in other ways that I wanted. But it's been said to me a few times of, oh, because TMI, I hate underwear. I don't wear underwear. If I don't
I
have
actually
to,
know a lot of people that don't wear under.
yeah,
I'm
if I don't have
learning
to,
why.
I just love the freedom of not
Okay.
wearing underwear. Like I have
Sure.
period underwear that I'll wear.
Okay.
But other than that, I'd prefer not to have it. And when I share that, I get a lot of feedback of women of I have to wear underwear. And I'm like, oh yeah,
Mm.
we I would wear underwear if that I
Yeah.
tried to do wear the
Yeah.
underwear.
Got
And
to
so
wear the underwear. Yeah, it's so
so
funny because when I first started down my IVF path, I remember my husband being like, I think I've shared this with you before. I've definitely shared this on the podcast before. So sorry, I'm going to repeat myself. But he was like, if it's just the two of us, like we have a good life, we love each other, like it wouldn't be that bad. And I got mad at him. I got so
Mm,
infuriatingly blood boiling mad. I was like, no, I love you. And yes, you're right. But that is not how I pictured my life. We are
yes.
going to have a family, we are going to have kids. And that was when I started IVF. And I think back to that conversation I had with him all the time now. And I keep trying to be like, okay, what are the good things that are coming out of this? And that's
Ooh.
part of this whole healing process, I think. And so for those listening who are in their own, maybe earlier in this healing part of their journey, looking at the positives of what we get to do and also the relationship with my husband. I've even often wondered maybe if we had kids, it would ruin our
Oh, I
relationship.
think about that all the time. I think about that all the time.
I'm
Because
actually
like
afraid of that now.
because we disagree on how to take care of our dog. I can't
Yeah.
imagine if it was a human, it'd be different. And
Yeah.
I think about that a lot because a lot of the fights my friends have are over parenting things,
Mhm.
which completely makes sense because, of
Yeah.
course, it's the most important thing in your life, and you're two different humans trying to look at it through the same lens, which isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think about how we would maybe, I know we wouldn't be as happy. I know it. I think we'd still be happy.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd be as blissfully happy as we are right now.
And I just recently had my niece and my nephew. We took them for their first camping
Mm.
trip, and it was
Fun.
so fun. We had a blast. We were exhausted at the end
Oh my
because we're not
God.
used to that much stimulation, but
Yeah. You have to be on, you have to be in charge.
yeah, but it was so much fun. And like in that, so we only went for one night. We left when my husband got off work on Sunday afternoon, and we came back for the evening on Monday evening. And I remember sitting there, I had this epiphany where I was like, he and I have barely talked. We have barely held hands, touched each other, kissed each other, like anything like that
Yeah,
in this time frame. And we were still together and we were
of
doing things
course.
together. And but I was thinking, I'm like, oh, now I could see where the intimacy of your relationship goes out the
Mhm.
window. Or we didn't even have a serious adult conversation between the two of us, which we have all the time. It was even things like that that I was like, huh, I get to do that all the time with him. And I don't know, it's just been the random things that have popped up like that of trying to look at that aspect of it instead of the I don't get to go to football games with my kid.
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
get to my nephew just graduated sixth grade and it was so cool to go watch him. Like I don't get to experience that with my
Yeah.
own kids and all that kind of stuff. And then yeah, the freedoms of being able to travel and yeah,
And
just
I feel like there's, at least for me, there was like a mind shift that happened in that. And it did not shift overnight. It was like a very slow turn and it was uncomfortable and I did not like it. I was like, ew, I don't want it to be my husband and I, what you were just talking about. Like, that isn't something I pictured. I didn't see the picture on the wall of just my husband and I. And it was really uncomfortable, especially because I don't see a lot of representation in that.
yes.
And I live in a smaller-ish town. Most people are married with children. Most of my close friends all have kids,
Mm.
and I love their kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot of couples that don't have kids. I think I know one, and I don't get to see them very often because we're often doing other things.
Yes, which is funny, right? Because you
Yes.
think you would see your friends with no kids more often.
Like she's traveling for the next month. Like
Yeah.
that's a big thing that I always wanted to, I don't know. I remember looking at like my neighbors growing up and thinking like, oh, I love their cute little family. That's what I'll have. I even fell in love with their son and was like, we're gonna recreate what our family has. And it didn't turn out that way. So it's, where do I fit in? I can't be the first one doing this. And so it was a lot of looking for other people. And honestly, there's not a lot that talk about it, at least.
Yeah. And let's talk about that for a minute because I know
Hmm.
that I recently made a new friend who has been struggling heavily with the friend aspect of this.
Hmm.
Because I will say the majority of my like close knit, I don't know, I guess OG friends that I've had
Hmm.
for forever most of them got pregnant with a 1 month try. Like, and I was feeling so often like I was so left behind
Hmm.
and now like their kids are all like going into like second, third grade and things like that. And then I feel even more left behind if I did end up having a kid at this point. And so I have found that now I am finding more child-free friends. And I don't know if I'm like putting that out in the universe, it's just coming to me. But have you had friendships that have crumbled over this
Oh my
because people
gosh.
didn't understand?
Yes. I was just writing a chapter about this in my book today.
Yeah.
I was jealous. And not, I will say, I know that neither of us could show up because
Mhm.
we were planning on having our babies together and we got married within 6 months of each other. And we're like, we're just going to do everything together. And that didn't work out. And I honestly like hated being around people, especially with babies, for a really long time. Honestly, I even feel a little like shame in that still. And I think it's okay because it's a super normal response to this, but it doesn't feel good. And I felt like in those my first few years of deciding not to have kids, I was finding a lot of friends without kids.
Okay.
And that wasn't the answer either. It was like I almost felt like I just
Interesting.
went to the pendulum, at least for me. I was
Hmm.
like, we're gonna not gonna have friends, or if we would have friends and they had kids, it was like, I guess we can't be friends anymore. It was that kind of, I was angry for many years. Sometimes I still am.
Sure.
And then I felt like, because I have this new group of women in my life that I've been really close with about 2 years. All of them have children, but we connected through art.
Mhm.
And so it was like something outside of motherhood.
Yes.
But also motherhood wasn't, or not being a mother wasn't like my main thought process for the first time. Gosh, it's been 5 years. So it took me about 3 years to feel that way.
Mm.
And I'm still friends with some of my child-free couples that we had met, but like I said, we often don't see each other. And most of them don't live in this town that I live in because I live in like a rural area. So it's like you get married and have kids vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that's interesting because I remember like at one point in this last year and a half, I was like, all right, I need friends that don't have kids.
Yes.
I need to find these people
Yes.
because the other thing is, and here's maybe this is what this group of women that you made through art, would you say
Hmm.
like they were seeking something outside of motherhood as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
I think that's part of the difference, right? Because there are so many women that get totally lost and sucked into mother.
Hmm.
And I don't like, I'm not trying to frown upon that.
No,
I think,
I
you
probably
know,
would have been that person.
I think it's normal. I think it's very
Yes.
normal for these women to get sucked into that. I'm
Yes.
not judging that by any means.
Yeah.
But I do think that for those of us who don't have kids, that being able to be friends with people who have kids, it's helpful when they have an identity outside of motherhood that
Yes.
we can connect with because I can't relate. Like it doesn't
Yes.
matter how hard I try. I can't relate to anything child related. I mean,
Mhm.
I can talk about my niece and nephew, but that's about the extent of it. Being able to have those conversations about music, about art, about movies, shows, books, whatever you're into, hiking, traveling, things like that, I think is what makes a world of difference when it comes to those friendships.
Absolutely. And this was one of the things that attracted me to this group of women. Like I became friends with one pretty quickly. And then like she was starting to invite me with, and I was like, oh, I know these kind of other women through social media and like small townish. And we rarely hang out with their children. I'll be honest. Like we do. It happens,
Mhm.
but I'd say it's out of 5 times, probably 1 to 2 times it's with their kids. But they're like, we like the time away from our child. And I met them through like an art community working event. So we were like doing something. So it was like,
Yeah.
we're here for a purpose outside of your kids can't be here because
Right.
it was like a storytelling event where inappropriate stories are being told. So I think that, and this is one of my biggest advices that I give to people of like, if you do want to try to find new friends, is go to the same thing over and over. It took me a year to be like, I want to be friends with these people, but I just went every month over and over, whether it's volunteering or taking a painting class. Maybe don't go to like somewhere where there's going to be kids. And I don't want to be
Yeah.
terrible when I say that, but there are parents that don't want to always be around their kids. And for
Yeah.
me, those have been ones that I can, like you were using the word relate to a lot. And friendships are weird the older we get, anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like finding ways to relate, finding the time is
Mhm.
with the right people, it will click. But it took work for me to be like, okay, it's the monthly art event. I guess I'm going to show up and sit by myself. But that's what I
Yeah.
did.
Okay. So you did go sit by yourself a little bit
Yes.
sometimes.
Brad came with me a lot,
Okay.
but he wasn't making friends with these women like I was.
Yeah. Guys are funny about that. Like my husband
Yes.
could care less if he ever made another friend ever again. I'd barely have time for the ones I have. And I'm always like,
Exactly.
wait, but I made a new friend. You have to befriend her husband.
Yes. Yes. Which my husband is, don't make me do that. Don't expect me to do that. That's not, he's like, when I make a friend, I'm not like, you have to be friends with their wife. Cause we tried it a few times and I was like, I will not be coming anymore.
Oh, really?
It's just, I don't like it. And you shouldn't stop being their friend, but I don't need to be here. I'd rather be at home with a book, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I'm always like, you go have guy time. I won't
Yeah.
include
Yeah.
that. That's fine.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the friend thing is really hard after this because there are
Yes.
so many people around us that have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, I adore all my friends' kids. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing, and I have no problem being around them either. Obviously, like I would like some alone time with these friends too from time to time because there is a bit of sometimes there's a focus issue there that's really hard.
Absolutely.
Like we have a couple couples that we're friends with that have 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time we could ever see them is if we went to their house for dinner
Mm-hmm.
where all 4 children are running around like crazy. And inevitably, the youngest one is young and needs a lot of assistance and attention. And you're like trying to talk to these friends, and you're like, maybe next time we could get a babysitter and go out. We can
Mm-hmm.
actually all talk.
I think it's that relating thing. And of course, parents are there for their children, especially in their
Yeah.
home. But I feel like a lamp here. Where do I belong? Am I just, I don't know. Definitely had that. And it's so uncomfortable because you're like, at least for me, I'm in my head being like, am I like upset because I didn't get this? Or am I upset because I'm not getting their attention?
Mm,
And I think it's all of the above.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, the friend thing is really tough. And then I made friends through IVF, right? Like I made
Mm-hmm.
you and I
Mm-hmm.
became friends through Childless Not by Choice. Like I had a friend that I absolutely adored and we were so close and we both went through IVF and she ended up getting pregnant and she did talk to me through her pregnancy and then I went to her, it was right after COVID when she had her baby shower. So she did a virtual baby shower. I
Mm-hmm.
went to that, which baby showers at the time were really fucking hard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was like, but she knows, she
Right.
understands, she's been there. I'm going to do this for her. And I think I left partway through or whatever, because it was virtual. So I could just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I still to this day don't hear from her. And she's now had a second. And every once in a while, I'm like sad and I miss
Mm-hmm.
that friendship. But I think she has also gone completely into motherhood based on posts and stuff I've seen of her. But that was really hard too. I think that I had a lot of IVF friends that had success. I don't know
Same.
that the ones that I made through the process didn't have success, that
Yeah.
if any.
I remember going to a local support group and it turned, and we would go month after month, or I would go, and pretty soon they all were
Oh, good.
pregnant. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, so like it's still just me. Okay, wow, this is because I felt it virtually being like in the IVF
Mhm.
world on Instagram, but then I was like, maybe if I do it locally, I'll find somebody at least who's, I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting to get pregnant. I wanted to be them. I didn't
Sure.
necessarily want them to be me, but it was just so physically in front of my face where I was like, oh. And I remember even like the support group lady got pregnant and I was like, I
Oh
gotta
my
go.
God.
I gotta go. I can't be here. This isn't serving me.
Yeah, and I think that's where that was one of the darkest moments I think I had was when I realized that this isn't happening for me and
Yes.
it's very likely won't happen for me
Hmm.
because I would look at all these people that I supported through all this, I cheered on and they cheered me on through my
Yep.
stuff and
Yep.
everything. And then just being like, certainly that's going to be me at some point. Certainly.
We did, I remember my husband made a spreadsheet. Statistically, it was supposed to happen for us.
Yeah, exactly. I think I would love to know. I've never looked it up and I don't even know if you could find it, but the statistics of those of us who did all the IVF and did all the
Mm-hmm.
treatments and stuff of who didn't have success. How often?
I feel like it's a lot. This is just my feelings. I'm not tracking any sort of data, but I feel like it's not as much, but I also feel like it's not talked about as much. So
Yeah.
maybe
Because
it
that's the
is
sad story
more.
nobody wants to hear. Everyone's uncomfortable with
Exactly.
that.
Yes. Everybody's, oh, wah, wah. And you're like, oh, cool. My life is a bummer. I already feel it now. I see it on your face.
I know. It's so hard. The whole thing is so hard. And I don't know. You said it took you about 3 years to
To not,
start to feel better,
to
or
not be so angry because I feel
okay.
like I was like, okay, I started like hitting it hard on the things that I loved. I definitely was like, we're gonna travel, I'm gonna spend money on fancy clothes, and we're
That's where
gonna
I'm at. Like,
remodel our kitchen. Like it was where like I did things
yeah.
that I wanted to do, but also it was, I'll be very real. It felt like it was out of spite instead of
Oh, do you
like
feel
I,
like you recognize that hindsight, or did
yeah.
you?
In the
Okay.
time, I was like, this is the right choice. I'm doing the right thing. And I feel like I did do the right thing, but
Yeah.
also I was doing it out of anger. I remember one of my friends
Mm,
who was friends with both a friend that broke up with me. And
mm,
she was like, do you feel like you're missing out on her life? And my first response was, how come she's not missing out on mine? And
mm,
my friend was
mm.
like, oh, and I'm like, I'm just saying, like that you're assuming that I'm missing out because she has children.
Oh,
And I am not seeing it in that way. And I also feel like anger and spite can be a really important emotion to
yeah.
have. I had to be able to work through that because if I didn't acknowledge it, I don't know, probably wouldn't be like as happy as I am today, but I had to like go through those different stages of fuck this. I'm going to spend my money and do whatever I want because I can.
Yeah.
And that also became a slippery slope because I feel like I was
Right.
trying to fill the motherhood hole.
Yeah. Also, I think I made that comment to my husband one time. I was like, you know what? Fine, fuck it. I'm not gonna have kids. I am gonna spend all my
Oh
money
my
on
God.
me and
Yes.
traveling, and I'm gonna be gone half the year and blah blah
Yep.
blah. And then he was like, that's great, Tawny, but maybe not yet. Like, we still need money for other things.
I'll still use it today sometimes, almost more as a joke of if I can't have a baby, I want ice cream for dinner or something, like something silly,
Yeah,
but I'll throw it out there. My husband's like, all right, okay, if we're gonna
whatever you need.
throw that card, I guess we're doing it.
So my husband's aunt, who I ended up connecting with a lot, she's lovely. They were unable to have children. She had a whole bunch of endometriosis stuff, and she's in her late 70s, early 80s. So this was like way before IVF was even
Yeah.
an option. And I've often asked her, I'm like, I've really connected with her on this because I'm like, okay, help me through this.
Yes. Oh
You're
my gosh. I would
way
do the
far in the
same. I would do
future.
the same. So we're attached.
Yeah, yeah. So we email not often, every once in a while. And I remember asking her, I'm like, how did you get through this? You didn't have the option of scientific help even.
Mhm.
And she said, I threw myself into my friends' kids, which I don't know how she did that because
Right.
that's hard. The
That was
jealousy and the
not my
anger.
path.
Yeah. And she's so I helped like babysit and I went to sports games and I threw myself into that. But they are very well off and
Mhm.
did very well for themselves. And she said, I spent my money on myself because I
Yes.
didn't have to put a kid through school. I
Yep.
didn't have to put them through, like, I didn't have to do any of that.
Yes.
So they are so adorable right now. Like, they go to fancy restaurants,
Yes.
fancy hotels. They're in, like I said, they're in their like early 80s now, so they really can splurge, but they're also slowing down. So,
Yeah.
but I just loved that, and it always stuck with me when she and I had that conversation. And I'm like, so then I was like, yep, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna
Yeah.
spend it all on traveling, and we already do that anyways. But
But
I don't
with the
know.
intention of it, it feels different. This is
Mm,
what I'm going to do. This is why I'm in grad school, is because I can, like, we can afford it. And I
yeah,
remember thinking, like, I don't want, like, this money is not, it's not going to be here later. And my
yeah.
husband was like, who cares? Like, you're literally changing your career to make more money in a new area. This money probably would have been for our child's college education. So let's have it be for yours. And I
There you
was like,
go.
oh, okay. It happened within 3 weeks that I decided to go, and then I started going to school. So it was very much, I guess this is happening. But it
Yeah.
was also like, I have that freedom
Yes.
to go away to school to a different state and study an art, like, because it feels good.
I love that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the identity crisis for a minute, because I
Okay.
feel like I'm still very much in that too.
Ah,
What am I doing?
I still don't know what I'm doing, but
When I when you think, because we're so conditioned, right, to think you're going to have kids, you're going to raise kids. That's not everybody wants that, but for those of us that want it,
for sure, yes.
we are conditioned to think that's going to be our future. And I've always been a very goal-oriented person. I've always been working towards something and whatever. And so I always thought eventually my goal would be to have a child and raise a good, upstanding citizen in this society for the next 18 years or more, if it was more
Mhm.
kids. And when you don't have that now, and I know that maybe some people get to this point when their kids hit 18 too and leave the
For
house.
sure. I
Like,
think
what do
they
I do
do.
with my
Yes.
life?
Yes.
So to be facing this so early on in life, and
Mm,
when I still don't have, because those people still have their kids are still their kids, and then their
right.
grandkids and whatever, I'm like, I don't know, I'm a hairdresser, but is that it? Is that,
I was really scared. Like, it made
yes,
me
it's scary.
super scared of who am I, just like you said. I think now, and like this is years later, but I approached it with a really like curiosity of, okay, what else do you like and could you try? And I tried all kinds of hobbies and stuff just to be like, should I be a painter? No, but maybe I will try. And
Yeah.
like finding comfort in that. Therapy was a huge part of this. In fact, my therapist was a really good, you get to play.
Yeah.
And I never really thought about it like that, because she was like, what does little Carrie want to do?
Mm,
What does 80-year-old Carrie want to look back on and think, I did that? Like, what would that be? And for me, that was writing. And I was like, I guess I want to be a writer. So I guess I'll quit my super stable teaching job to go into a career that is often not very well paying.
mm,
But I have the freedom to do that. And I have this like delusion that it's going to work out
yeah.
in a way that, like, sometimes taps into that like delusion that motherhood was going to work out. But
Mm.
in this regards, I know that if I put in the work, I can get paid for it. Like I'm writing for the local newspaper right now. It's not big money by any means, but I'm literally getting paid to do something that I love. And
Mm.
it feels very like inner child healing in a way
Mhm.
that like I didn't know I needed. And so I think a lot about like young me and old me because right now who am I? 42-year-old Carrie is what is happening?
Yeah. It's weird because I thought I'd face this way later in life. Like I said, after
Uh-huh.
I raised the kids, after I but yeah, and I love doing hair. I love being a hairdresser. I really do. But I'm like, is that it?
It doesn't
Like
have to be, which
I
is
build my
scary.
business
Yes.
up and then I just do that for the next 20 years and then retire. Like that seems very anticlimactic.
I and I also because I've had a few different jobs. Like I was a server for a very long time and I loved that. I didn't think I would be serving forever, but like it's a big job that made me who I am in my soul today. And then I quit to become a teacher. And I feel like I get to do these like different, I get to try on these different hats. And it's not comfortable and it's weird. And I am starting a lot, starting over a lot, but
Yeah.
I don't hate it. And will say I do have the financial freedom to do that. So that is a
That
very
makes a difference.
safe,
Yeah.
privileged space to be in, but I don't think I would if I had children. So it's an exciting space, but it's also, I don't know. Is it stable? I don't know. Am I stable? I don't know. Like sometimes I
Yeah.
do feel super stable and sometimes I don't. But I will say, like, the past probably year has been really fun in exploring that. And I didn't know, like I said, deciding to go to grad school in a matter of 3 weeks was wild. And
Yeah.
it has changed my entire life.
Yeah.
And but I think being very curious. I did this with my grief a lot of get curious with what feels good to honor my grief. And so like we didn't want a funeral for our stillborn, but I still have her ashes and
Mhm.
we sometimes take her ashes on trips just to see does this feel good? Are we those weird people that take ashes? Like it was all these questions, but it was like we won't know until we try it.
Yeah.
And so I just started like getting curious about what feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. But I guess that's the beauty of not having kids too, is like
Yes.
you can, where if I had a kid I had to provide for,
Mhm.
I would not be able to do with a job and I wouldn't have
I'd still be a
financial
teacher. I
freedom
almost
and
guarantee it. I would be stuck in that classroom.
yeah, it's so interesting. I don't know. It's just terrifying because I just don't
It,
know. I don't know. I had a bit of an emotional breakdown a couple weeks ago because
yeah.
I think I told you about it. That's why I went camping last weekend. But I just was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And plus the moving my business to Colorado Springs too, like,
Yeah.
that's been an ego hit too because I was so busy where I was and like rebuilding that back up from not from scratch, but like pretty
Yeah,
low.
for sure.
And it's all just been a lot. And then being in the not knowing of where I am with the fertility stuff, even though like I really don't want to do treatment anymore, but I really don't want to adopt, but I really don't want to give up on that dream either. But then I'm 37 years old and my husband's going to be 40 next year. Do we want to have kids that late in
Right.
life too? That's another question
Right.
I'm asking myself too, because I started this journey when I was 28.
Oh
So
my gosh. Yeah. You're a different person then.
yes, I wanted when I was 28, 29 is when we started trying to get pregnant.
Wow.
And yeah, so I'm like, now do I know plenty of people get pregnant in their early
Of
40s
course.
and
Yes,
but
yes,
I'm
yes.
like for us do we want to start the 18 years now too?
And it sounds like very like in between stages, which I never I like
Yeah.
starting a project and I
Yeah.
like finishing.
Yeah.
In the middle, I'm like, ugh. Like I was just talking about the writing. Is this shit? Is this good? Am
Yeah.
I happy? I don't
Yeah.
know. And the in-betweens are really hard, which is from what I'm learning most of life. You're in between.
Ugh.
Your face.
I hate that, but it's so true. The limbo, the being in the
Yes.
limbo. And I think we all experienced that through the fertility treatments too.
Yes.
There was
Very. Oh,
much limbo.
yes.
I was just like, yeah. And so then now to continue it, even, which, like you said, probably people with kids are still going through that same thing.
Yes, just in different ways. And I think
Yeah.
it's such like a human thing, but it's not, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I just did not so I recently watched my in-laws go through an identity crisis with retirement. And so
Uh-huh.
like just watching that, I was like, oh gosh. And then just realizing that's what I'm going through right now.
Absolutely.
And I just was that was never, of course, like infertility wasn't on my radar and not having
Right.
kids wasn't on my radar. And now I'm like, who the fuck am I? And what am I doing in this
Yes.
life? And what am I contributing to this life too? What is my purpose? What is my,
Yeah.
and I think, unfortunately, I think as humans, unfortunately and fortunately, like we have to have a purpose. I
Yeah.
feel like we have to have a purpose.
I think about this a lot, and this is what I talk a lot about, like having this very sparkly life, right? And right now that feels
Mm,
purposeful, even if
I
it's
love that.
coffee on my patio. And I remember I was telling a friend this recently, and she was like, "You're comparing motherhood to coffee on the patio." And I was like, to me, yes,
Yes.
because that is one of my highlights of my day. I talk to the birds, I talk to the squirrels, my dog is next to me,
Oh,
and I know that this is making me a better person. So that's bringing a
mm,
lot of purpose.
I
And
love
thank
that.
God for therapy for helping me being like, let's, because excuse me, a lot of I had that purpose question and I was like, I'll do this and I'll do that. And my therapist was like, so it sounds like you're doing a lot. And maybe we should tone it down. And she was like, let's start really small, which I was like, gross. I'm
Mhm.
gonna quit my job and change the world with my writing. And she was like, sure. Why don't you start with like 10 minutes? And I was like, that's not
Mm.
enough. And she was like, why not? Why can't 10 minutes of something be enough? And like, honestly, having to retrain myself and just I think about, I was talking about this with somebody recently about like, it's not necessarily fake it until you make it because you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I would sit on the patio and be like, this is lovely, even though I
Mm.
wasn't really into it. And then it became lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it? There's a book out there. I can't remember the guy who wrote it, so I'm going to totally butcher it, but it's something about finding the delights in every day.
Yes.
Like your
It's one of my
delights. God, I wish I could remember what this guy's
it's one
name.
of my favorite things ever. Like that morning cup of coffee, I think about it when I go to bed of, oh, I can't wait to have it. And it's
Yeah.
so little, but once those little things become big things, everything is like these really wonderful moments.
Yeah. I really want to know what I want to look up what
Yeah.
because I don't know. I listen to We Can Do Hard Things all the time. I don't know if you know that podcast. And he's been on
Mm-hmm.
there several times. Oh, The Book of Delights, I think is what it's called. Ross Gay. And he talks
Oh, I
about,
know that name.
you do? Have you read that book?
I know the name, yes. I know the author's name. I don't know that book.
Oh, yeah. So he talks about, yeah, just finding little delights in every day like that. Like you're talking about, like having
I
coffee on
think
your
that's like
porch.
literally what pulled me out of my funk as I was like
Okay.
almost like pressuring myself of this has to be enough for you. Like you have to. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just do it. And
Yeah.
then it was like I feel like when some people like start a gratitude journal and then I started it, I'm like, fuck, this works. Like this fucking works. And it seems too easy. Like drinking water does make you feel better. And
Yeah.
like it's the simple things that I'm at least leaning into right now. And that may change, but
Mhm.
that's literally what's like feeding me every single day.
Mm.
And that's been a big part of the past year in itself of, okay, we're just going to focus on the really small things.
Okay, so that's something you would recommend for those early
Yes.
on in this healing journey.
And even if you're like, I can't believe I'm doing this, I felt it too. Sometimes when trying to find a new small thing, I'm like, really? We're stretching in the morning? Like, it's shocker, my back doesn't hurt as much.
No, I'm so bad. I'm really good at once I get a routine going, I'm really great at
But it's
keeping up
hard
with it.
starting it. It's
It's
so
so
hard.
hard. It's so hard. I finally got in a gym routine. That's working out really well.
Hmm.
But I used to do the Miracle Morning stuff, like
I know
my
exactly
own
what you're talking about.
modified
Yep.
version of
Hmm.
it. And I've been missing that, but I also really enjoy sleeping an extra hour. So I'm like
Yes.
trying to, I would like to start journaling again more. I would like to,
Oh
I
my gosh.
do.
Did you see this book I recommended recently?
No.
It's called The Book of Alchemy by, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Salika Jawad. It is,
Oh, Okay, continue.
It's like a beautiful book cover. It's brand new. It just came out recently, but it has these like 1 to 2 pages of like famous people that are writing, and they all have a journal prompt.
She
And
was just
it's
on that We Can Do Hard Things podcast. Yeah.
yes, her book
Mhm.
just came out. This book I already can feel is like magic.
Okay,
Like,
so the Book of Alchemy.
yes.
Okay.
Like I woke up early this morning and was like, "Oh my God, I could journal." I don't do that.
Yay.
I don't do that in the morning. I'm like, "All right, let's like take the dog for a walk and we'll get coffee," but I don't think I have time to journal.
Yeah.
That's not my pull, and I highly recommend this book.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great one. And yeah, I do find sometimes when I go to sit down to journal, I'm like, I think I can think all the things in my head throughout the day or throughout the week or whatever. And then I sit down to journal and I'm like,
What should I write in here?
what are my feelings? What are my
Yes.
thoughts? Nothing makes any sense. But I did have a time period where I did really good with it. I don't
Well,
know.
I think it serves us at different times,
Yeah.
but this book specifically talks about committing to something and just trying it and
Yeah.
seeing what happens. And I feel it. I've only read 2 essays and I'm like, is this the best book I've ever read?
Okay. I'm gonna put that on my list. Maybe we'll see. Right
Yes.
now, Prime Day is happening. Maybe I'll see if,
Yes.
if it's on Prime Day. Okay, before we wrap up, I just want to make sure I touched on some questions that I
Hmm.
had. Talking about making friends after this, we already touched on that. So many people have kids and we feel left out and less than. We touched on that. Would you say that you found your people now?
Oh, that is a good question. Yes, and I think that there are more people to come
I love that.
because I didn't know this kind of group of women could be in my life. Me feel so welcomed and supported by people with kids. I'll be honest, I didn't know if that was going to be an option for me. It also helps that we're like all in our 40s and their kids are not babies. I think that's a big part for me too.
Yes.
A lot of them can be on their own. But I recently read the quote of, "We haven't met all the people that are going to love us yet." And I lean into that
Mhm.
a lot because we don't ever know who is going to continue loving us. Like, I have one really good friend that I've kept since like middle school. But a lot of my other friends have been like different, coming from different parts of my life. And I think I have my people for the time being, but I don't, and I just know that there's more coming.
And the next question was how, if you found your people, how, and you mentioned your art class and putting yourself
Yes.
out there. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
I would like, I think I mentioned this before, but if you're looking for not children related activities, attend not children related activities. And it's going to be uncomfortable. And I went for a year and I just started waving at people like, "Oh, I think you seem cool. Like you got a
Hi, I want to
flowy
be your
color."
friend.
Kind of. Yes.
I love that. Okay. And did you reach a point, we talked about this too, where your feelings about pregnancy announcements, other triggers, etc., changed? You said about 3 years.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And even now, I'm like, I don't have an angry response when someone's pregnant, but I am like, okay, like,
Another one.
yeah. And I'm probably not going to see you for a year or
Mhm.
so, and that's okay. But I'm not mad. Like, I was angry, jealous, mad, envious, all of those feelings. I had like bitterness towards
Yeah.
it. And I don't necessarily have that anymore, which is huge because I used to have panic attacks when like a pregnancy announcement would
Mhm.
come out, like literally couldn't breathe kind of thing. And now I'm like, I guess I'll send diapers. I don't know. I'm not going to go to the baby shower, but I'll support you because like
Yeah.
I know, and I know, and a lot of my friends are like, I love having a friend that doesn't have children. I'm
Mhm.
going on a spontaneous writing retreat next week with one of my friends that has a kid, but she was like, "Hey, do you want to come with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?"
I love that. Yeah. So maybe finding those people and the friends with kids of that are willing to leave their kids because not everybody's
Yes,
willing to do that either.
that is very real.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I think I was going to say something else about the pregnancy announcements. I feel very fortunate because I feel like a lot of my friends are not having second
Mm.
kids, which is,
Oh,
I
okay.
have a lot of friends with just one, and I think a lot of them are okay with just one. So
Wow. Yeah,
that
I
has
don't know
helped
that
me a lot.
experience. Yeah,
Because I'm
for
like, great,
sure.
because their one kid is now 4, 5, 6 in that range, and they're like, I don't know, it's just better because the kids are older, and then they can,
Yes. They
yeah,
can play in the other room by themselves or
mhm,
something, or we can have a full sentence conversation. It's
right,
not, I'm
right,
like, I don't know what to say to you, child. Even though I'm actually pretty good with kids, I'm like, I don't know what to say.
yeah.
Are you
So
reading yet? I know kids' books.
I know I always ask my niece and nephew, what are you learning in school? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, what? Okay,
Your
new
teacher is
topic.
mortified that you're saying that.
Probably. They are learning stuff. I know
Of
they are.
course
They
they
just don't
are.
want to talk about it.
Exactly.
Okay, so last one here. Let's see. How would you explain to someone who actually cares why adoption doesn't solve infertility and why you didn't build your family through adoption? We touched on that too, but if you want
I
to say anything else.
my first thought was like, I like to stress that I think it's different for everybody and everybody has different boundaries and perspectives on it. And I can respect that. But I know for me, I was so tired of being in the in between, kind of like we were talking. And a lot of the adoption format we were looking at was in between. And I remember my therapist saying, if you want to adopt, maybe you'll have a baby in 3 months or a child, because we weren't specific about ages, or maybe it'll be 10 years. And that was it for
Oh,
me. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I can't do
mm,
this for 10 more years. I didn't
yeah.
even know if I could do it for 3 more months. And that's when I was like, I think that's my
No.
answer right there, is that I can't be in the in between.
And that's what, when people ask me now, what's next? What are you going to do? Like, where are you at? I'm like, I genuinely had to choose my own mental health
Yeah.
because I could not keep putting myself through that
Yes.
heartbreak. And when I do think about embarking on adoption or any other options that I have out there, I get like anxiety thinking
Uh-huh.
about it
Same. I felt the
and
same way.
terrified of being let
Yes.
down again
Yes.
because I
That
don't
was,
know
yep.
that my soul can handle it.
Yep. That I felt the same way. I remember crying in my therapist's chair, telling, because my therapist was also a adoption placement person, so she had, and I remember crying in her chair saying, "I don't think I can do this," and she was like, "It's good that you know that."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, I think you're giving me permission to feel this emotion because it doesn't feel good." And she was like, "No, people still go through with that, and then they have a kid, and they are still having that feeling, and that's not fair to the kid." And I was like,
Interesting.
oh God, I would be a mess. I'd probably pull it together in front of that child, but I'd be crying in my bedroom.
Yeah. Oh man. Friend, this has been so fun.
This has been so fun. Thank you for having me back again. I
Yeah,
love it here.
I know. I'm so glad it finally worked out. Life just gets busy sometimes.
I
So
think I was also like super sick for two.
sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I was sick like 3 times in the past
Oh,
like 6 months, like gross sick, like norovirus,
oh
COVID.
my gosh.
Like it was
All the
like,
worst
yeah,
things.
knock on wood. That's it for the year. That's what I'm gonna say. We
Yes.
we did it.
Yeah.
We survived it.
Yep. You built your immune system up for the rest of
Yes.
the year.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I'm so glad we did this. I love our conversations and I
Me
get a
too.
lot of great feedback on our
Oh,
conversations
thank
too.
you.
I do have one more question for you since
Okay.
you are doing all this memoir stuff.
Yes.
Are you currently reading a memoir or is there one that you would highly recommend to listeners?
Oh gosh, now you're putting me on the spot.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm trying to think of, because I just started a new semester.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of the books. Okay. I loved Nora McInerney's books.
Okay.
The book in particular called No Happy Endings.
Oh.
And it's dark humor. It's very funny. And basically the premise is she's dealing with a lot of grief.
Mm.
She's pretty funny.
Okay.
And I was able to read it very quickly and laughed at grief, which is
Okay.
one of my biggest things I do in general. So that's been one of my favorites. And she's super fun to follow on social media.
Okay. Awesome. All right, everyone, make note of that. No happy endings.
Yes.
And then we
Yes.
also recommended the Book of Alchemy and then that Book of Delights, whatever
Oh
that
yeah.
was. Gosh, here I go again.
Yeah. The Book of
Yeah, it's
Delights,
called the
Ross
Book of
Gay.
Delights. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I
Yes.
was like, wait, is that right? Okay.
That author is a very fabulous author, often brought up in my MFA classes.
Okay.
And I don't
Yeah,
think I've read anything.
I haven't
So,
either. So maybe we should read that book.
absolutely.
All right, my dear. Do you have any final words before we
I
part
just
ways?
thank you for listening, because this is so fun. And I feel like often these stories don't get as much like talk. And I hope that if anybody's listening, that this spoke to them in some way, or maybe you know somebody who's dealing with this, because I personally love talking about it, but it is a heavy thing to discuss.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful to have the space to do that.
Yay. Good. Me too. Thank you for giving me the space to talk to you as well, because Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough subject. And then, a lot of the feelings that we feel, I can't say them to just anybody.
For sure.
So I sound like an asshole. So
I have shame and jealousy, and I don't want to
yeah.
hold the baby. That's not always
Yeah.
welcomed in
Yeah.
society.
True. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in the stories shared, please consider following us on your preferred podcast platform. Your ratings and reviews make a huge difference. They help us reach more listeners and continue bringing you engaging, insightful content. We appreciate your support and would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Until next time, keep listening, growing, and sharing.